let's just start with what really strikes the most. And that's the kind of mandate that's coming out of West Bengal. You've seen this very closely. You've documented this in parts very closely. How do you really look at this?
I think it's historic in many, many senses. I'll give you one thing that people are perhaps not yet talking about, because all the focus, of course, and rightful so, is on this big victory. The TMC ran one of the most, and the CPM before it, that legacy came to TMC, ran one of the most threatening regimes to India's security and sovereignty in the east of India. These regimes allowed absolute mayhem on India's eastern border, illegal activities, smuggling, human smuggling. There is, the long list, narcotic smuggling, gun running. There is nothing that didn't happen on the eastern border, including absolute mayhem and illegal migration that went on under the CPM and the TMC. This was one of the most crucial challenges, considering how important our eastern border is. I believe this victory of the BJP today in Bengal has effectively, for the first time in nearly 50 years, secured in many ways our eastern, very critical eastern border. As more and more troubles are emanating in Myanmar, as until recently major troubles were emanating in Bangladesh, and more trouble, I believe, will come in that region. This is the only way we could have secured it. The eastern border was getting more and more fragile. And I think finally, with the kind of governor that we have in Bengal, with this victory, both in Assam and in Bengal, especially in Bengal, finally our eastern border seems more secure than ever.
You know, Hindol, one of the things that really emerges out of this is, and it was very evident in Assam, it's been open, it's been out there, the consolidation of the Hindu vote. But that's emerged very strongly in West Bengal. And I do not think, from at least the way the results have shown up, I don't even think whether Mamata Banerjee and TMC even analyzed or assessed this correctly. It's a very strong consolidation of the Hindu vote in West Bengal. And not just that, BJP has managed to get inroads into the heartland of TMC, into Mamata's very own bastions, the kind of votes that it's been able to eat into. This is landmark.
It's been growing for a long, long time. By the way, let me tell you, I grew up in Kolkata. I went to school in Kolkata. I have dear friends who are Muslims in Calcutta. These people have been telling me, especially in the last 5 years, that even though they are Bengali Muslims and they are completely integrated with Bengali society there, the kind of radicalization that they were seeing all around them, they were feeling frightened for their own children, their own family. Please remember, the kind of radicalization that was being supported by the TMC. There was a sitting chief minister who only a few weeks ago in a public meeting said openly, we are the only people standing between you and another community which can finish you off in 1 minute. What did she really mean? Are the Hindus of Bengal so stupid? Do they not understand what was being said to them? And do they really, did Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool really feel that all the Hindus in Bengal, they will all be eternally frightened, frozen in fear? No, of course not. Also, there are many Muslims, and I'm telling you this openly, there are many extremely, well-to-do, extremely, genteel Muslims, old families of Calcutta who voted against the Trinamool this time, because the kind of radicalization that was being brought had come to their doorstep, to their own family, to their own children. The grounds were being prepared for a different kind of demographic change in Bengal. It was already happening in the border areas. More and more, it was coming closer and closer to Calcutta. Again and again, we were seeing instances of this. So all of these people really finally, with their back against the wall, decided enough is enough. We need change. And change has come to Bengal. All the lies that were told that, the culture only belongs to one party, Bengali tradition only belongs to one party. All these are lies. They've been fed to a hapless population. And today, that population clearly said, we do not want to accept this nonsense anymore. We do not accept these lies anymore.
Hindol, when we talk about Bengal and when we talk about SIR, there are two things also that really stand out, and that's SIR, about Assam and Bengal. Two things that really stand out is also SIR and delimitation. Well, there are some who say delimitation has worked great for Assam. That's something that we'll come to you in a bit. But how do you look at SIR? How much of that impact really has been when it comes to BJP's victory?
Was absolutely necessary. Please remember, Bengal has a tradition. I always say this. Elite Bengalis in Calcutta always try to turn their nose up at states like Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. But the kind of corruption, the kind of violence in poll after poll that Bengal has seen from the CPM time right up to the Trinamool time is unprecedented anywhere in India. Please remember, this is a state where in panchayat election after panchayat election, hundreds and hundreds of seats would be run and would be fought uncontested. What does uncontested mean here? People were so frightened that they wouldn't stand against first the CPM or the Trinamool, next the Trinamool candidate. This fear psychosis had been driven across Bengal. This was very illegal voting was rampant. It was rampant. There are hundreds and thousands of people who had been brought in, who had been given illegal identities. All of this was rampant. If there was one place that truly SIR was required, it is Bengal. Please remember, Bengal, it had become commonplace in Bengal that any moment, Mamata Banerjee and other people in her party would say, any moment our cadre can freeze Kolkata, bring the city to a standstill. These lies, this toxicity had to end, and it has ended. I also want to ask the members of parliament of the Trinamool Congress, the people who used to say the most horrendous things again and again, did they even see their own constituency? What happened in Sandesh Khali? What happened in RG Kaur? The Bengalis, the ordinary Bengali, no matter which faith, no matter which ethnicity they belong to, they were tired of this malaise. They were tired of this sickness, and change was critical. And they would have voted for anybody who brought change. The party that promised change the most and which showed the gumption to really fight it out on the street, constituency by constituency, block by block against this kind of violence was the BJP. So the BJP has won. Anybody who could show courage would have won. The BJP showed it.
Hindol, what is shocking, and this is happening again, Mamata Banerjee losing from Bhabanipur. Break that down for us. That's a bastion which has backed Mamata so many times. And yet the story of defeat is repeating. What is this? What is the message? Mamata Banerjee losing Bhabanipur.
And recently, when I checked, I think that she was trailing. I don't know whether the result of her losing has been declared.
She has lost.
Has she lost? Well, if she has lost, if the result has been declared, then let me say this. This is the ultimate sign that the Bhadralok, the elite of Kolkata, has turned against the TMC. If Mamata Banerjee could not even win in Bhabanipur, it means that the citadel has fallen. The very core of the citadel has fallen. If she cannot
even win,
what do you mean
by that? I mean, this is what is important, and I understand, because Bhabanipur is not only a constituency which has backed Mamata, but has backed many CMs. And it has a history. It has a history of making and breaking CMs. Break this down for us. When you say she's not been able to hold on to even this citadel, what do you really mean by that?
Means that the CPM and the Trinamool always made one core argument, that the Bhadraloks of Kolkata would never vote for a quote-unquote right-wing party. They had the Bhadralok in their grip, electoral grip. these Bhadraloks, these so-called secularized, so-called progressive, so-called elite Bengalis of Kolkata were always either, CPM, and then they became Trinamool. And they felt that, any other party was an outsider. And these parties always suggested that no one could come to power in Kolkata and in Bengal because they had a grip. Because these people don't only control votes, remember this, they control the cultural narrative of Bengal. And the cultural narrative is very, very important. I think people outside and the BJP also for some time did not understand how critical this cultural narrative is. This cultural narrative means everything in Bengal. And there is no point of fighting this cultural narrative because this cultural narrative determines everything in Bengal. The people who are the custodians of this cultural narrative have finally completely turned against the TMC. If Mamata Banerjee cannot keep Bhabanipur, which means the tide has turned at the very sanctum sanctorum, at the very core of Bengali identity. The Bengali Bhadraloks have turned away and they have declared that they will today support a different party, a so-called right-wing party, the BJP, and they have brought it to power. This is the final death knell of the Trinamool. If Mamata Bandyopadhyay has lost, this is the final death knell. Because at least if she would have won, she could have continued the battle. Some coagulation would have happened around her. But if she has lost, this is the end of days for the Trinamool.
No, just one more question. One side is Mamata Banerjee not being able to keep her own citadel, is not being able to keep her Bhabanipur to herself anymore. The other side is Suvendu Adhikari doing it again. Suvendu Adhikari breaching, winning Bhabanipur. Two sides of the same coin, but very strong meanings on both sides. Do you want to speak some about this?
I think what happened really, what turned the tide is the following, and let me share this with you. You remember the Sandesh Khali incident. What happened in the Sandesh Khali incident? Do you know, and Delhi media doesn't cover these things, but let me say this on your channel today. Do you know what has happened in the last few months in the Sandesh Khali case? Number one, the main assailant in the Sandesh Khali case, for the longest time couldn't be arrested because he was a mafia lord there. Finally, he was arrested. Then the main witness was going to depose before the court, before the judge in the case. He was traveling in a car with his son. In an accident, a truck came and hit that car, killed his son instantly, and that man had to go underground. This is the real face of Bengal. All this intellectual nonsense that Trinamool MPs talk about in Delhi, this is the real face of Bengal. And this sickened people. I was recently in Bengal doing some research for a book. I spent a lot of time there talking to people at the Heart. I was staying at the Calcutta Club. I was talking to a whole bunch of people. Each person told me that they were sickened by this incident, what happened in Sandesh Khali, and they were sickened by what happened in RG Kaur. That a young woman could be so brutally assaulted, could be murdered at the heart of Calcutta, really shook them out of their slumber. And today, the fact that Mamata Banerjee has lost Bhabanipur, well, this is because she's lost, because at the heart of Calcutta, people realized that the toxicity had reached their doorstep, the evil had reached their doorstep. If this can happen in RG Kaur, if this can happen in Sandesh Khali, their own daughters, their own mothers, their own sisters are not safe on the streets of Calcutta, and they couldn't bear it anymore. All the repercussions of this you today see in the results of the elections that are in front of you from West Bengal.